some of the views are actually very extreme, and sometimes we want to take the man out of his rightful place for the sake of independence.
Welcome, 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 welcome. Da 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 da. Welcome, 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 welcome. Da 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 da. Welcome, 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 welcome. Da 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 da.
Welcome to a channel that has deep conversation, talks about life, talks about faith, and gives advice while all having fun. Let's go.
What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another video. What's good, Mandy Squad? So first of all, if you're new to my channel, you haven't heard about AmandaSpeaks, you have not heard about Mandy Squad. I know where you've been at, I don't know what's going on, but we're so happy that you made it to this video, you made it to this channel. And if you want to become a part of this amazing family, all you've got to do is hit that subscribe button right there, hit the bell button beside it so you don't miss any further videos. And without further ado, let's hop into this video. So y'all, I know it's been a while. Like, it's been a while since we had a video, we had a vlog, we had a chit chat, we had a late night, we had any form of contact with each other. And I'm sorry. I honestly am sorry. I just felt like I need to take a little time to kind of breathe, kind of refocus, kind of understand, all right, what are we doing? You know, I like giving you guys content. I like trying out new things and see what you guys love, what you respond to, what you want more of. And I just feel like I need to just pause. You know, that time in your life when you kind of just pause, because you need to understand why you're doing what you're doing. You need to understand, is this what you want to do? You need to understand what is it that you want to portray, what is it that you want to give, like, impact wise, what is it that you want to be known for, what value are you giving to the people you're serving. And I had to take that time, and I hope that I found at least part of the answer. And I'm back. I'm really going to try this year. And I've been saying it. And like, I've been like leaning on consistently, like back to back. And like every time I talk about it, or every time I hit a milestone or something, it's almost like we just drop boof, black, boom. I'm like, you need to stop this. Like, that's gonna be a rant for our next vlog. Well, this is not a vlog, but it's gonna be a rant for a vlog as it pertains to consistency, so look out for that, definitely. But yeah, I'm back, and today we're gonna be talking about it, honey. Some of y'all I messaged. Some of y'all messaged as it pertains to this topic, and you would have given me feedback as it pertains to. If you're watching this, God bless you, I love you. But we're gonna be talking about chivalry. We're gonna be talking about it, okay? And a lot of people be saying that chivalry is dead, but now it makes me question, do we even understand what chivalry is? So let's get into it. I'm gonna be reading a little, like, some comments that I got from some persons that I asked. Males, of course, because chivalry involves males heavily. So some of the comments are perspectives, as I put it. I won't be telling the person's name, but if you're watching this and you know you commented XYZ, you know, big up yourself. So some persons, you'll also see it here, hopefully, or on the other side, I don't know, somewhere on the screen. The issue between equality and chivalry, the society and different perspectives of how men should be, extreme feminism, however it is not gone but hard to find, and how chivalry is viewed nowadays, aka kinda like kind gestures, looking at chivalry as being weak. So it's viewed as being weak. Somebody else thinks it does exist and it is relevant, but it's slowly becoming extinct. I'm reading too fast. Extinct in today's society. Factors include the upbringing of boys, the toxicity and trauma in the independent woman, titled therefore their reluctance to the men who still believe in such practice. It is in no way overrated, and women aren't being unrealistic. However, the communication of expectations must be done between both parties. And I know some women might say, oh, why do I have to tell them to do it? Why do I have to tell them to do this or that? The truth is, our society is failing our young men. And in that regard, it's hard. So if you can help to change the narrative, truly do so. Because we are going to talk about like perspectives. Somebody else says it still exists, but you'll experience or witness it rarely. Reasons include mistrust between men and women. It is forgotten because of our pursuit of our own ambitions, goals, etc. It's not overrated because if you care for someone, your actions will tell them. It's not unrealistic, but it depends on the perception the person has of chivalry and if it's aligned with the reality. So when the two come together, it doesn't crash. And additionally, the upbringing of men, absentee fathers, and having no reference for such behavior. Another person says it still exists, but it is overrated in this time and age. Thinking back to the olden time when men were mainly the providers and were seen as the strong ones, while women stayed at home as often was depicted as weak, that's where chivalry was necessary. However, in today's society, that is no longer so. Women are just as capable as men, so there is no need for it. It all comes down to individuals' perspective and beliefs in it or not. It's not unreal. Well, let's say it depends. I asked if it was unrealistic, and this person said that it depends on the perspective being carried. Paying on the bills, responsible for dates, etc. can be unrealistic, but holding the door, being affectionate and not abusive is realistic. Another person, so as you can see, I asked a good amount of people. Another person kind of went a little more in depth, saying that it depended on where you're looking for it. So in the Jamaican dating scene, this person was saying it's interesting to say the least, that it is weird. And he decided to define chivalry in the simplest of ways using courtship stage and the courteous actions men do, such as holding the door, being exclusive, compassionate, and thoughtfulness. Dating and saying normally women would be the temper setter, sorry. But since the feminist movement, some women have attributed chivalrous acts as men trying to be domineering or simply seeing it as toxic masculinity. Therefore, many men discarded it. The hookup culture is prominent, therefore commitment is sometimes seen as being unnecessary. So it's a glorification of sex. And the view of traditional women and the perception and importance of commitment, marriage, sex. The confusion of what some women want. Chivalry hasn't worked out for men in Jamaica. They say they want a guy like that, but never chooses the guy that shows them that. That's a whole other conversation. We could even talk about that as why the nice guys finish last, which honestly I really don't think they finish last. But let me know if you want to hear that. Comment down below, #nice guys. Anyway, the other person said it still exists, but it's not prevalent. It's found more in inexperienced men, as a few incidents of ungratefulness. It tends to fade. It is still important for a relationship to last and for her to feel more feminine, so no, it's not unrealistic. Another person says it still exists, but the same scenario. Well, this person actually said it still exists. If he wanted to, he would. Women aren't being overrated or unrealistic. They're just in love with men that don't love them. Females tend to date for potential and not necessarily their needs. Their understanding and enactment of self-love, at the end of the day, how you treat yourself and carry yourself, will indicate to a man how he needs to approach and treat you. People should date people who actually like them. Sorry, I saw that comment and I had to swallow real hard because I'm like, woo, woo. Yeah, just straight shooter. And the last person I think I asked, this one basically said it's important, but in today's world it is highly undervalued and misunderstood. And I like that. I like that statement right there, and I'll explain why. It is not as common in the Western society. It should be encouraged for both men and women, and it should be celebrated and appreciated. Women aren't unrealistic, but there needs to be an understanding of the change experience in society where chivalry is not necessarily as rewarding as it used to be. Example, being chivalrous to an unfaithful female or someone who is a misandrist, would generally result in the man getting hurt and also emotionally scarred. Okay, so in my perspective for chivalry, I'd always watch movies and I thought that chivalry was, the opening of the door, the buying roses for the female, ensuring that the person gets home safely, running a lovely bath, writing a love letter. And while those are sweet, those are nice, and especially depending on your love language, it can cater heavily too. I started to question, and I was saying to myself, is that all to chivalry or is there more? And upon research, I realized that chivalry is not just what you do, but it's also who you are as a man. And with that, I had to dig a little deeper. So I'm going to take you back with a little history lesson. So back in the day, chivalry was basically known as a code of ethics for knights, because back in the day, knights were seen and feared as literally just being dangerous thugs with power. But in the 12th century in France, it was often not just an outward appearance and not just seen for their exterior or their armor, but it was also seen for it's, well, their attributes. So being honorable, being courageous, being trustworthy, being generous, having good manners, you know, all them nice things there. And it was actually in the 14th century where romance was kind of brought into this whole chivalry topic. Now, back in the day, it could have been broken down into like 3 rules back then. If I'm looking down, because I got notes, I'm trying to give you this sauce. Anywho, so we got 3 categories that they could be broken down into, where 1 would be warrior chivalry, where they would fight, you know, on behalf of their country, fight for their kings in that time. 2 would be religious chivalry, because not only were they required to fight for their country, to fight for their people and stuff like that, but they were also required to be good Christians. To be good Christians and to fight for the church. And 3, you had courtly love, where this is where aspects of treating women nicely were brought in, but it would oftentimes be platonic love because of class separation. So going back to the comments that I read earlier, I would agree with some of the men where they said it still exists, but it is rarely found, or at least it's not promoted as we'd want it to. And society has turned the sweet, very normal, or should be normal things into very toxic and disturbing ways and perspectives. It has evolved into saying a lot of these things are weak, and we're trying to pervert it and turning it into toxic masculinity. And it's like, it ain't like that. Like, they have stripped literally the nice men and the gentlemen of today's society to a point where a man will see a woman struggling and will ignore her. They'll see her coming out of a store, out of a food place with her hands filled with something, and they're right at the door, being a security guard, being right at the door and refusing to help. Why? And then you have females that have also caused this, where a man is literally just being nice and trying to help you, and you're gonna start a whole argument about, there's nothing wrong with being an independent woman, but there's also nothing wrong in operating in your feminine energy. There's nothing wrong with actually just being soft, not being walked on, but being soft, feeling as though, okay, somebody want to do this for me with no strings attached. They just want to be nice. That's it. That's cool. And then we often talk about this pretty privilege. That's a whole different conversation. But a part of even being having that pretty privilege is allowing men to do things for you, without necessarily having to give anything in return. Just being nice, At least that's what I think. I may have this whole concept wrong as it pertains to pretty privilege, but that's my thoughts. But the other thing is, when we do all of that, then it backfires, because now we say to ourselves, where are all the good men? And then the men saying, where are all the good women? Or where are all the gentle and soft women? Not realizing that we're literally working against each other. Literally. Because when we do that to them, it's also causing them to be heartless, to be numb, to kind of just withhold themselves, withhold the very thing that sometimes for some of them comes very natural. I've met some persons in my life where they're just naturally sweet. They just want to be kind. They want to help. They want to give gifts. They want to give compliments. And because of how perverted some persons have made it, they literally just want to retreat in them shell and be like, oof, let me just hold it together. And this says a lot too, because when we as women now go for that emotionally unavailable man, that bad boy, that person who's just giving you a little spice, a little oomph, trying to fill the void of the daddy issues or the lack of a father figure that some of us really do have, and we're looking for that affection, or we're literally just it's more of reinforcing the affection or lack of affection we're used to, the type of affection we're used to rather. So I will agree with some of the men in that sense, but I can't gloss over the fact also that they did say, at least 2 or so stated, that the perception of chivalry is also important, and that is where we tap into. Some people may take it too far and forget that while the man has a role to play, so does she. We do have a role too, And no, they shouldn't be responsible for everything, and no, they shouldn't always be the one to take the initiative in certain cases. But it is the responsibility of a man to pursue. It is not the responsibility of a woman to pursue. It's our responsibility to present. So while caring and having some feminist views of myself are absolutely necessary and perfectly fine with that, some of the views are actually very extreme, and sometimes we want to take the man out of his rightful place for the sake of independence. I'll let that sit right there. If it is to the point of obliterating the existence of man, your views are way too far. We need each other. Even if it's just simply platonic, we need each other. It doesn't matter what we want to say. While I do understand that we're in the 21st century, and chivalry in this case wouldn't necessarily just mean being a provider, because there are many more opportunities afforded to a woman than back then. It is also understood that there is, as somebody stated in their comment, that there's a mistrust between male and female. And it doesn't matter how masculine a woman is, there is a part of her that would love to embrace her feminine side, her soft side. There's a part of her that would love to be covered and not necessarily wanting to always have to do everything for herself, to be the first to step out, to be the first to initiate, to be the first to do this, that, and the third. And while I understand that, I also understand that many men have been hurt. Many men, their love has been toyed with. Many have literally given their all and they've been stripped down to nothing. Which is why often nowadays when a man is simply trying to be polite, sometimes a woman has to question their motive, their intention, because chivalry has almost become such a transactional situation where I do something for you, you do something for me. It's not just about being nice anymore, being kind, being generous, being loving, being caring. It is literally about what can I do for you, to the point where a woman will debate and argue with a man who is simply just trying to be polite. And this only causes confusion on both sides, literally. As somebody stated previously, I think, sometimes women don't know what they want. Sometimes men don't even know what they want, and we get confused because everything around us has been perverted. Chivalry, as stated before, is not just the action. It's not just about what you can offer outward, externally, but it should be who you are internally as a man. It should be your very character. Being generous is great. Being stingy is like, get away. Being nice, being kind rather, it takes nothing from you. Having good manners. I did a video previously on this, even where I think a village raises a child. But having good manners takes you far away. It takes nothing from you. Being respectful takes nothing from you. It should encapsulate the very being of who you are. And sometimes the ignorance of people and the disrespect of people can get so overwhelming, but it should never alter how you see yourself and how you treat people. The world should not infiltrate you so much to the point where you're just being a zombie walking around and you forgot all the principles that were given to you as a child coming up. And it goes back to how we're raising our boys, how we're treating them, the things that we're filling their minds with. Are you allowing them to be vulnerable and emotionally intelligent? Or are you telling them from a young age that they need to be hard, they need to work, they need to know that they're a provider, they don't need nobody, they don't need to rely on anybody? Are you even holding them accountable to who they are and how you see them, who you see them as? Are we giving them the space to grieve, to mourn, to cry, to express themselves? Or are we choking them to the point where if they are not this walking, unavailable, emotionless zombie, that does not make them a man? What builds a man is not just strength. What builds a man is not just what he can do. What builds a man is who he is. And what will allow a man to last is the principles that they're built on. For chivalry, and concluding this, chivalry is not just in how you treat women. It is how you are overall. It is who you are overall. Chivalry is characteristics. And no, it is not unrealistic for a woman, because at the end of the day, everything that makes up a good man is chivalry. For the most part, everything or the characteristics of a good man Chivalry is written all over it because it is characteristics. It is not just what you do. Yes, holding the door is nice. Yes, buying flowers speaks to somebody's love language deeply. Yes, writing words of affirmation and running a bath and doing acts of service. Even just the very love language speaks to chivalry. Chivalry is not action. It is not only actions. It is a characteristic. So for us to say that it is dead, it is also telling us that we are dead. To say that it's unrealistic and it's not necessary is to say that we are not, as a man, you are not necessary. And it will leave many women uncovered and unprotected and not feeling safe. And it will leave you scarred, not protected and not feeling safe, not having a space for yourself. Chivalry is meant to build relationships. It is meant to build bonds. It is not just to be a show. And yes, it is how it is perceived. So I do hope that this video has brought some form of light to you. It has brought some form of knowledge to you, wisdom to you, a matter of fact. And as a woman, I am speaking that I do desire chivalrous characteristic and acts. Because at the end of the day, never do I want to feel like I always have to have my own self. I always have to have my own back. If you are somebody that is desiring of marriage or relationship, you will realize that chivalry is not unrealistic, nor is it supposed to be dead. It is the very thing that will make up a relationship. It is the very thing that will determine how you behave as a man. And it will determine your character as well, and how well you can relate to people. So guys, that's all I have. I feel like there probably could have been more that was said about chivalry, but I hope this, even if it's the basis, it's the foundation, it is the surface, it brought some light and life to you. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, do your girl a favor, like the video, share with a friend, share with a fam. You don't know who needs to hear this, and you might not know who you're helping to develop and to grow. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm so happy I'm back. I'm so happy that I get to literally serve and give you guys content all over again. I hope your girl don't drop off of the face of the earth. Pray for your girl. Hello. Yeah. And let me know some topics that you also want me to talk about, whether you want to comment them down below. That's cool. That's fine. Yeah, I'll read them. Or you can DM me on Instagram or on Instagram, you know, if you're not following your girl also, because I've been having a little fun over TikTok. Follow your girl, follow me on Instagram, and let's have some fun together. And with that, I feel like I'm blabbering. Peace.